States of America to discuss this development is the convener, Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative, Dr. Oludare Marindoti. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Veronica. Going here. Thanks for having me.
Nigerians wanted the president to speak, and now he has spoken. There's been divergent reaction to what he said in his address, but let's get your perception of the president's speech.
Thank you very much. To me, I just analyzed the speech briefly. The president, he stood for peace and joined the protesters to suspend the protest. He acknowledged the frustrations. Most importantly, condemned all forms of, ethnic bigotry, as he should do. He rejected the return of subsidy, and he tried to, talk about the progresses or the plans that they have made. The most important thing to me, because I've been always talking about this food security thing, was the fact that the president said that this suspension of import duties for 6 months in the first instance. That is to say, they are not just going to automatically yank it out. They will see if taking it out bringing back the subsidy, the import duty will increase the price, and they will review at that point. So to me, the president's speech, just like B.B. King Sunny Ade, or gentleman Mike Ejeagha, the president struck all the right notes, and then he gave us hope at the end of it. So it was, to me, it was reassuring. That's what you expect from a leader. Now, do I expect this to be enough for the protesters? To me, I don't think it will be enough because of, my generation. I've always believed that we suffer from this population-wide attention deficit disorder, whereby we do not imbibe, we just want to vibe. So things that we can't explain in 15 seconds, you lose most people in my generation. That's just who we are. We have to just face the reality. And that's why I feel like we have to keep on, finding the best ways to talk to people in my generation, especially about this subsidy thing that they are suing for. Because in my own opinion, I believe protest for hunger is very valid. My position on hunger and food importation all along. But protest for subsidy removal, people who are protesting for subsidy removal are just being useful idiots to the subsidy cabal.
Your choice of words, please.
I'm sorry, I knew you were going to caution me on that. So I'm sorry I have to use that word. But that is just the fact, because when
there are other words you can use. There are other words you can use.
I'm sorry, that's why I'm not going to repeat it again. Yes, but when you look at it, the people don't use this, what's it called? The people that use these things more are the rich. When you talk of dollars, the arbitrage is not just direct arbitrage. If you were able to find a way, maybe through connection, to get dollar at the official rate and use it to import something, you are not going to calculate your cost price at that official rate. That is also a form of arbitrage. The rich are the ones, as a matter of fact, I believe the administration can release the data of all the official exchange rates, dollars sold below $4,000. The average Nigerian, 70% of Nigerians don't make $4,000 a year. Let us know how much in summation and compare it to the other bigger ones. You will see that majority of this dollar is being bought by the rich. So if I want to subsidize, let me say, NSC, and you don't drink NSC, is that subsidy for you? The subsidy is for the rich. It is the same thing with fuel. Fuel is used by machines. It is the rich men that have more of the machines. So they are the ones that benefit, apart from even the subsidy, the scandal. But the subsidy that I think the people need to sue for is subsidy on food, because food is fuel for human beings. We metabolize it and get ATP, which is a form of energy. So when we look at it, food is also an hydrocarbon. So the government can subsidize food, and then in the long run, all this growth that we are starting to see, the people will not be feeling it yet, but in the long run, it will materialize. So I am happy that the president stood its ground on the return of subsidy. I still don't feel that by the number subsidy on fuel has been taken away just by the numbers. But I feel like it is the subsidy on foreign exchange that is impacting the majority of these things. And like you said, by the time we start cultivating food, dollar is already expensive. So imported food will just be bad business. People will buy Nigerian food by default because it will be cheaper. So I am happy, but I don't think this protest this is going to calm the nerves of a lot of people who are protesting. I feel like we just need to talk in simple terms. I mean, I also analyzed the statements in the speech, which I feel like the communication team of the president also need to improve their delivery, because the president has been a noose around the jugular of our economy. So I just thought to call a few of my friends. I called 3. They didn't know the meaning of noose. And then I thought again, I called them back. I said, what's the jugular? One of them thought it was, balls. So, when you look at it, so that means if you are saying a noose around the jugular, you are not talking to the Nigerian audience. So we need to use simple, digestible terms in explaining these policies, because guess what? President Bola Tinubu cannot build Nigeria. It is Nigerians that will build Nigeria. He can create an enabling environment for Nigerians, you and me, to build this country. But he cannot do it by himself. He is just one man.
Okay.
So exactly. So we need to convince our people, let them know that this subsidy must not come back. Otherwise, the government is going to be using your money to subsidize the rich people. And then your education will be broke, your hospitals will be broke, your roads will be bad, because the money that should be spent on you, for you to have a better life, is being spent on the rich. That is why you see that Dangotes and all the rich people, their value came down just within a year, because this money that the government would have been using to prop them up, they stopped giving it to them.
Okay.
Bola Tinubu himself, the value of his money has dropped because of this policy. This is why I feel he has also sacrificed, because he decided to reduce the value of his own wealth.
But if you're talking in this term right now, it's also for the not so haves, not the people that do not have. If you think he's subsidizing the rich and they're subsidizing fuel, and the rich are the ones benefiting from it, won't it be the same thing if he's to subsidize food? Because you mentioned that earlier, that rather than subsidize fuel, let him subsidize food. Won't it be the same thing?
Not at all, because guess what? Dangote can buy the dollars that 100 million Nigerians cannot afford. They don't make money to buy. Dangote can buy the fuel, and I'm just using Dangote. I don't have anything against him because he's just the richest man. Dangote can buy the fuel. It's not like they can buy it. He uses right now the fuel per minute that millions of Nigerians cannot use. But Dangote can only eat the food of one man. He might not even be able to eat as much as you, Theophilus, because I think you have a very large appetite. I'm just joking. So that is why you can subsidize food, and that will be subsidy for all of us, as opposed to just focusing it on just the subsidy for fuel. The reason why the people are suffering is understandable. It is because the impact is going to be regressive. Think about it. If I have 1 million naira and Theophilus, you have 1,000 naira, and we are both told to donate 50% of our worth to the Nigerian government, I would have donated 500,000 naira. You would have donated 500 naira. That is 1,000 times more than you have donated, and even 500 times what? But the problem is that with the 500 naira that is left in your hand, you may not be able to eat a plate of rice. But me, with 500,000 naira, I will still dorime. So in terms of the impact, I understand the people suffering, which is why I have been an advocate of, which is why it is so depressing to me when, the whole scandal with the humanitarian department occurred, and I was on this channel also talking about it, because this is the most important time when you would have needed that to be a stopgap pending the time that the natural growth will occur and the people will start having an easier lease to life. We need to ensure that we get Nigerians on board with especially this subsidy removal. This is a scam as old as time in Nigeria. Even the current emir of Kano said it. He said even when we were saying, I didn't know this, I heard it in one of his speeches, that even when we were saying 1 naira was $1 at parallel market rate, that it was 1 naira to like 300, 1 naira to like $4. $1 to like 4 naira at the parallel market, so that the spread was about 300%. And who are the people using all these things? It is the rich. And it is the government, and it is illegal. If the politician steals your money, you can go after them. If a rich man buys the dollar, you can't go after him because it is legal, and the government has just given
all right, Dr. Marindoti, we need to make judicious use of our time because there's so much that has to be said with regards to this speech. Now, you mentioned earlier that there is the need to bring Nigerians on board, the reason why the fuel subsidy was removed in the first place, so that they can embrace it. And the president has said that they are open to dialogue. The federal government is open to dialogue. Even some state governments or governors are saying they are also open to dialogue, for instance, Lagos State. How then can the government be strategic enough in its conversation around not just the fuel subsidy, but also about programs it has put in place for the benefit of the people? Because most people seem to not know what government is doing because not much is being said about it.
Yeah, to be strategically, the first thing first is to ensure that the people do not go hungry. As a Yoruba boy, they will say, that is to say, when hunger enters your stomach, enters your mind, no other message can enter it. So once you let the people eat, and this is why I've been talking about this thing, I went to check again, it was June 4, 2023, that I was talking about food protectionism. So that when you can first let people eat, because even if you look at the hierarchy of needs, physiological needs, food, it is the number one. If you hear that there is a threat somewhere, but you have not eaten, you will still go out and eat before you run back home to run away from the threat. So once you ensure that the people can eat first, then you have to persistently be going on every form of media to encourage the people, to educate the people. And, like you said, the state governors, some people are stepping up, but some are not stepping up. There was a governor, and I'll try not to mention him for the Nigerian factor, that said, I understand your problem, I will take it to the president. And I'm like, are you not the leader of the states? Why do you want to take their problems if you understand it to the president? Why can't you solve it? Yes, the buck stops at his desk, but before the buck stops, it must have been adequately passed around. You don't just push the buck straight up. That is why I feel like, just like my heroes from Ondo State, people like Fashion and His Royal Majesty Olufalaye has advised the president, they should begin restructuring, because I think it is strategically important, so that the governors will stop treating the presidents like our Father in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy king don't come. That will be done in my state as it is in Abuja. Give us this day my daily bread. They should feel like we can stop it. And then they start to earn money. I feel like even the public fund distribution system is also not efficient. And these are all the things that a lot of people have worked on. There can be a lot of improvements in. And it will also help us to solve the security problem, because, I heard about you talk about, the millions of acres that they want to cultivate. But, in a lot of these places, we understand the security challenges. So you might have, exterminated a lot of the bandit leaders and the terrorists and all. But it will take time for you to convince that farmer to have the confidence to go back and sleep on the farm and be there all by themselves. So the government has to give itself the time to go through growing pains, which is going to be what we are all going to have to go through. Even in the CNG initiative that the president spoke about yesterday, it will also take time. Even if you look at the history of places where they've done it, it probably will take about a decade. It will be in phases. Introduction phase, the growth phase, the sustainable phase, all those phases, you have to go through them gradually. So Nigeria is on the trajectory to astronomical economic growth, but we have to ensure that adequate succor in terms of just food alone is given to the public. Nigerians don't demand a lot. They just want to eat food. And if we allow them to eat food, they will give us the time. Government the time, now not us, because I'm not a part of the government, but they'll give the government the time that they need to complete the procedure that they are carrying out. And then all of us, you and I, will be better for it. I will be able to say, I don't want my children to go to school in the United States, because the government has stopped giving the rich people like Dangote and them likes money, and they've invested in the schools. So our schools, our students right now are having the human capital required to economy, to be technicians and lawyers and doctors and all these things, so that we will stop the dependence on expatriates, and we can grow our people. We need to invest in human capital. Human capital is very essential, because guess what? You can sell oil or sell wood, right? You can sell wood and that is it. But if you learn to carve wood, you can carve wood and you will multiply the value of that wood. So that means the human capital of you learning to carve is much more important than just the wood that you can sell to. So if we develop our human capital, if you look at the state of Texas, they make maybe 10 times, I don't even know, more oil than Nigeria. But oil is about just the seventh. Oil and mining is about the seventh in their income duty, because human capital, things like finance and is in the top four because they are developed human capital. So we need investments and we need to stop subsidy.
All right, Dr. Marindoti, in all of this that you've mentioned, now what comes to mind is we spoke earlier about the importance attached to real estate as against farmland in some parts of the Southwest. Do you think that the governors are maybe paying just lip service to the issue of farming our own food so that the price of food can go down?
Well, I can't really, I know that in Ondo State government, that's why he's doing an amazing job. He just got in there. There's like a strategy and a long-term plan. But, this problem has been a legacy problem, especially in the Southwest. We have, we used to think sometimes the cultural and then my sister, who is just 6 years younger than me, asked her, they never sang it in school because, we are a little bit moving away from our culture. We don't like our language. We call it vernacular and all those things. So the culture of farming is leaving us. We need to bring it back because we have the land and we can feed ourselves. For, the past decade, there have been several instances whereby, for whatever reason, there will be blockade of food coming to the south, to the south. When we don't have the laterite living land like the east, we have fertile arable land that you can cultivate and grow at least enough food so that you don't have to even import from Cotonou, or maybe so that you can even export it. And we have a better human capital development in the Southwest compared to everywhere else in the country. So the governors all need to have a strategic, plan that they can have regionally. But that is why I also feel that restructuring will put a lot more focus and responsibilities on the shoulders of the governors, and they will know that they need to make money and they will focus on developing their states, because food is being sold. Food is a commodity that you sell for a profit. You need to invest in it, but for a very long time, this problem has existed, and the governors have allowed it to
do we have to restructure for a governor to know that he has a responsibility to the people when we're talking about the protection of lives and property? Do we have to restructure for them to know that they have a responsibility of ensuring that their citizens put food on their table? Do we have to restructure for them to know what it is they have to do? At some point, the Southwest governors met and said they were going to address this matter of food security. I think that was a month or two ago. We do not know how far they have gone with that conversation as it is. We have experts here who have blamed them for paying lip service because they own the lands and know what should be done with these lands.
You are very right, Veronica. It is so sad. We don't have to restructure for all these things to happen, even though the structure is bad. However, when there is a problem, you have to fix it. When there is protest for hunger, but a lot of the state governors in their interactions have not taken adequate responsibility for it, because it is easy for them to hide behind their father in Abuja. So it is why I am saying you have to put them on the spotlight. The president needs to shed some load. We don't have to restructure. I had an argument with my sister a while ago about parents not teaching their children the language of their mother tongue, the Yoruba language. And I said the government have to make it a law that everybody should take Yoruba up until maybe GS3. And then there was an argument. I'm like, well, the only reason why I'm saying this is because the family is failing in its primary responsibility to ensure transition or transfer of culture and language to the next generation. So the government needs to intervene. So it is because we have seen that the governors have failed over a long period of time in the dissipation of these duties. And I'm saying you need to put a lot more responsibilities on their shoulder so that they don't have a hiding place, so that they can all know that they need to tighten up their belts and maybe lose some weight so that the people can eat. And they know that the people can eagerly hold them accountable and vote them out in the next 4 years. So that is the reason why I am using that as a strategic response. But yeah, we shouldn't have to do this. We shouldn't have to do this. We have water in the Southwest. We have, good farmland. We can cultivate from fishery to, I mean, one of my friends, father, who is a professor, told me about agricultural zones in the western region that Awolowo had. And these agricultural zones, like you said, they've paved the paradise and they've put up a parking lot. And now people are starving. And I even heard maybe in Ibadan, they wanted to cancel one of the forestry, forest reserve. Yes, like you said, you mentioned it that time, that we should have forest reserve, protected regions, whereby we want to protect, wildlife and, natural and vegetation. And the government, it is also needs to be a part of our long-term strategies. These problems are multi-pronged. You cannot solve them you might even not solve them in a generation, but you can start making, significant progress towards passing on to the next generation a better form of Nigeria. So we shouldn't need to restructure, but because the structure has shown us to fail and it is failing, the people are asking for an end to bad governance. We can get to bad governance structure so that the security, the people are responsible for it, and they'll be able to efficiently monitor and protect themselves because they are neighbors in the same community. And then the governors can make more money and exploit their natural resources to the benefits of their people and the nation at wide, so that we all can form this cohesive unit of people cohabiting like a cell in a structure, so that we can all work together. We need to compartmentalize and restructure and give people more power so that they can do more. We spoke about the minimum wage. I don't believe one man in Abuja should negotiate minimum wage, because living realities in different regions in Nigeria, in different states in Nigeria, is not the same.
Right. Another issue is the fact that the president told the youth that he has heard them loud and clear, and also advised them to take advantage of the programs put in place by government. But this matter of engaging the youth, ensuring that they participate actively in governance, how do we go about that? Because it has always been one of the conversations that have been going on even before this administration came in. And when the president came, he talked about the youth as well and how he was going to involve them. And now he's saying he's heard them loud and clear.
Yeah, in terms of engaging the youth, you have to speak their language. You have to talk in ways they can understand. This was something that I had to learn when I dabbled into songwriting, and I wrote a song and I showed my friend Daniel, and he laughed at me. He said I should start explaining it. Now that you explain it to me, it makes sense, but people will not get it. So this is nonsense. So I had to re-strategize. I learned that thing for the first time then. You have to talk to the people, to the youth, in the language and understand. This set of generation right now, we are not as nuanced as our parents. So we have to be able to break it down into things that they can relate to. It is your responsibility. If you came to my hospital, God forbid, and I said, I need to do a tumor resection and ileojejunan anastomosis, that does not make any sense to you. But if I say I want to take out the bad parts and join the good ones, you understand it. So you need to be able to persistently communicate with the youth in the simple terms. Because definitely, yes, there has been, especially because of social media and internet and all these things, there has been a dumbing down of this generation, and we cannot let it be. We have to find a way to strategically, over the long term, reverse that trend. But we need to talk to them right now in the terms that they can understand, not just say that this money is there. Oh, are you doing this? You can get funds here, apply, and go on the media platforms that they use. I can assure you that maybe the less than 30% of your viewers right now are going to be under the age of 30. And these are the people that we are making all these plans for. So if we are talking about this on TVC and channels, and maybe show all these places are not just news channels, the youth are not going to get it. So you have to probably find a way to get on TikTok, and find a way to get on, Snapchat, and find a way to get on Instagram, Facebook. That is where they are. That is where you can get them. And then bring them in over time. And then you can now do the whole long-term strategy about making people, have more attention and pay more focus on all these things. So that is the way I feel. And I feel like the president's communication team needs to up their game for sure. They didn't do it during the campaign. They have not done it during this election, during this, what's it called, governing period, because the people still don't understand why subsidy needs to go. They are still advocating for it. And this, so have the conversation with them, have a debate with them. The superior idea will always win. So don't shy away from them. Talk to them. Tolerate them. Tolerate their ignorance. Sometimes I get frustrated that I have to explain so much, but you have to tolerate it. That is what we doctors do. Doctors, you allow them to do the most gory things to you because they explain it to you. And let them, they cut you open, they do anything. But while you are doing that, you have to give them the adequate, the potent anesthesia, an adequate analgesia, so that the doctor will complete the procedure. So these are the things that the government needs to do so that we can carry our youth along and let them learn to benefit from these lofty plans. I didn't even know about as much. I mean, I knew a whole lot, but there were a few that the president was just mentioning yesterday. So why is the plan there and nobody knows about it? It is as good as the plan not being there, because the plan is not for the president or the administration, it's for the youth.
Dr. Marindoti, is it about the president or the government agencies talking to the youth in the language you understand, or are you not interested? Because some of these government agencies are on Instagram, they are on TikTok, they are on Facebook. Is that not enough? I mean, we have people following them to get this information.
It is not enough because you have to, learn to deliver it in the way that they can digest. Okay. So if an 80-year-old, if a 50-year-old, 60-year-old man is on TikTok, he does not know what to do. Kamala Harris, I was watching it when she had a failed presidential run in 2020. Our social media adverse strategist was a 19-year-old girl. That is, they know how to do it. So you use them and you pay them and they get your message out to those people and, have this conversation. So yes, it is the duty of the presidency and the government agencies and everybody, all hands on deck. Like the president said, we need everybody, all hands to be on deck to lift Nigeria forward. But everybody needs to do it, and you need to involve the youth in spreading these messages so that they can learn to benefit from it and ensure that they don't have a bad experience when they attempt to, exploit this thing or take advantage of these programs, because there are sometimes whereby bureaucracy, corruption, people asking for bribes. You can prevent it. You can prevent it. You can prevent it with so many strategies. So once you ensure that, then the youth can go and take advantage of it.
Right. Quickly before we let you go, Dr. Marindoti, earlier on you said that some of the measures being put in place by this government may not even happen in this generation, but structures have to be put in place. But how much longer? These persons seem impatient as it is. They want something that would happen as quickly as possible for them. How much longer do you think they should give the government as we speak?
Yeah, the government, so far they let them, they'll give the government time and the government will go through growing pains. I understand that, motherhood, you may not want to go through 9 months gestation period, but there has to be a gestation period. If you want to build the adequate amount of roads for our population, you want the people to have human capital development, it will take time. If you go to medical school, it will take you 6 years in Nigeria to become a doctor. So you want to increase the number of doctors, you have to know that even if President Tinubu, like they said, they've increased the number of medical students that they are admitted right now, which stopped 2 years after I got into medical school, it will still take 6 years before those ones graduate medical school. And after that, they will now have to go into residency before they can become the specialists that we need. So you can see that it will just take time. So there's nothing we can do. We just have to encourage them, give them the food they need, and then they will let us get where we want to get to over time.